Sleep experts say you need to get enough sleep, but this one thing might be even more important than that. Hi there, I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with stories about current events and trending topics. The stories help give you exposure to new words, new situations, and best of all, they come with tons of great supporting resources just for English learners. All that is on our website, plainenglish.com. And today's full lesson is at plainenglish.com/630. Today's story is all about sleep, one of my favorite topics. We did 2 episodes about sleep earlier. Those would be lesson 292 and 293. They were some of our most popular episodes of 2020. But we're back today to revisit the topic with some news that might be music to your ears, especially if you can't get your recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. In the second half of today's audio, I'll show you how to use the English expression catch up. And since it's Monday, we have a quote of the week for you. Let's get going. Getting enough sleep is important for your health. Those who sleep longer tend to also live longer and healthier lives. The accepted guidance is between 7 and 9 hours per night for adults on average. Meanwhile, back in the real world, about a third of people in developed countries don't get the recommended amount of sleep. And one survey showed a fifth of people say they rarely or never wake up feeling fully rested. Careers, family obligations, child raising, long commutes, household chores, hobbies, they all reduce the number of hours people have available to sleep. But if you can't get 8 hours per night, there's still hope for you. A recent study showed that regularity of sleep is just as important as the amount of sleep you get. In other words, if you can't get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, at least try to sleep on a regular schedule. The study found that people who slept 6 hours per night on a regular schedule had a lower risk of early death than people who slept a full 8 hours but on an inconsistent schedule. Think about that for a second. 6 hours regularly is better than 8 hours irregularly. The National Sleep Foundation, based in the US, convened a panel of sleep experts to review over 40,000 other papers on sleep health. The purpose was to specifically study existing knowledge on sleep regularity. Most doctors emphasize sleep duration. How many hours are you sleeping? But the panel wanted to see whether sleep regularity was just as important. It was. They found that irregular sleep patterns can negatively affect your metabolism and cardiovascular health and can increase inflammation. Irregular sleep is also associated with higher levels of depression. The review also found that performance suffers with inconsistent sleep too. Study participants with odd sleep patterns had problems concentrating, had worse reasoning, and performed worse on tasks. Importantly, no study in the 40,000 papers the panel reviewed, no study showed any type of positive effect to getting irregular sleep. All right, so maybe you're convinced you need regular sleep. But what does that mean? Does it mean going to bed at the exact same time every single night? Can you really not go to a late movie ever again? There is no rock-solid definition of what regular sleep means, and there haven't been deep studies on what exactly counts as regular. But one of the panelists summarized it this way. He said that over a long period of time, your average should be the same time, and about 70% of nights, the time you fall asleep should be plus or minus 1 hour from the average. So if your average bedtime is 10 o'clock p.m., then 70% of nights you should go to bed between 9 and 11. And significant multi-hour variations from that should be rare. Not prohibited, just rare. That sounds achievable. But what if the weekend arrives, you go to bed on time, but you just want to catch up a little bit? The conventional wisdom has been that you can't catch up on lost sleep from previous nights. But this review found that it is helpful to extend your sleep an hour or two when you need it and when you can get it. But sleeping more than 2 hours beyond your typical wake-up time is not helpful. I can vouch for this. I used to travel a lot for work, and that involved sometimes 4 o'clock a.m. wake-up calls to catch a 6 a.m. flight, and the irregularity just killed me. Now, like a lot of people, I recovered the consistency of my sleep during the pandemic. Now, I definitely sleep more and more regularly than I did when I was commuting and traveling, and I've never felt better. I know that's a luxury that not everyone has, but if you can't get 8 hours of sleep, at least try to make your 6 hours the same ones every night. It's Monday, so we have a quote of the week for you. Here it goes. There's nothing like biting off more than you can chew and then chewing it anyway. To bite off more than you can chew is an English idiom. It means to start a bigger project than you can finish, or to start something that seems too big or too complex. The conventional wisdom sometimes says this: don't bite off more than you can chew. And that means don't try to do something too big or too complex. But I like today's quote. There's nothing like biting off more than you can chew and then chewing it anyway. And that is from Mark Burnett, a television producer. Now I'm going to show you how to use the English phrasal verb catch up. We did catch up with in lesson 321, so you can go back and listen to that one. But catch up is extremely popular. We use this when we're behind schedule or when we have been delayed in achieving a goal, and we have to work extra hard to get back on track, to get back on schedule. A few weeks ago, I migrated the whole website, plainenglish.com, to a new hosting platform. This took a lot of time. And so during that week, I fell behind a little bit on creating and recording these lessons. So after the migration was successful, I had to catch up on lesson creation. I had to spend more time than usual creating new episodes, creating the slides for the videos, recording all the stuff I do every week for all of you. I found myself behind schedule. I had to catch up. And it's very, very common to use catch up in that way. Here's another example. What was today's topic? Sleep. Imagine you're a company selling mattresses and you have a goal to sell 10,000 mattresses this year. July rolls around. You've sold 4,000. You're in trouble. You're behind. You're halfway through the year, but you've only sold 40% of your goal. You need to catch up. You need to sell more in the second half of the year because you are behind. How can you catch up? How can you increase your sales in the second half so that you reach your goal? Maybe you can catch up by planning some discounts, some specials, some extra marketing, some bonuses, whatever. What are your plans this weekend? Can you come out with us on Saturday night? No, you might reply, I need to catch up on sleep. Catch up on sleep. This is a super common expression, and it means I'm feeling tired. I'm not feeling rested. I haven't gotten the sleep I need this week. I need to get some extra sleep this weekend to make up for how far behind I am. For a long time, the conventional wisdom was you can't catch up on sleep. If you don't get enough during the week, you can't just catch up over the weekend. And if you are missing an hour, 2, 3 hours a night, then that's true. But we learned in today's story that you can catch up on sleep to a certain extent. You can sleep 1 or 2 extra hours if you need to catch up a little. This is not going to work if you have terrible sleep habits for 5 days and then sleep all weekend. You can only catch up a little, but a panel of sleep experts found that an hour or 2 a day on the weekends can help you catch up if you need it. The examples I've given you have all been about necessities. Work, sleep, sales, these are things we need. But you can also use catch up if you find yourself behind on things that you want to do, but that you haven't had enough time to do. The 2 examples I'll give are TV shows and reading. I need to catch up on my reading. That means I usually like to read a little bit every day, and I haven't been able to do that lately. So tomorrow I'll spend a couple of hours reading my book. The other example I'll give you is I need to catch up on my shows. So if a new season has come out and your friends are already on episode 5 or 6, and you're stuck back on episode 2, you need to catch up. You need to watch 2 or 3 at a time to get back on track. So that's catch up. Like many phrasal verbs, it has multiple definitions, but this one is really common. It means to work extra hard or to do extra to get back on schedule after a delay. And that's it. We have reached the end of Plain English once again. This was lesson 3.3. This was lesson 630. So you can find the full transcript of today's lesson at plainenglish.com/630. That is thanks to JR, the producer, and the transcripts, remember, have translations built in for 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, French, Italian, German, Turkish, and Polish. So if you speak one of those languages, you can see the translation of about 100 words and phrases per episode right inside the transcript. All right, that is at plainenglish.com/630, and those translations are with every episode transcript. We'll be back on Thursday, and we'll be talking about a giant ball. See you then.